becoming. He's passionate and he extends far beyond the walls of his institution. He's also a passionate writer, dedicated to empowering young minds through his book. And he's an active contributor to the educational discourse through his insightful YouTube channel, Education for Life and Life for Education. Throughout his career, Mr. Thomas has consistently demonstrated exceptional leadership, a commitment to innovation, a deep understanding of students' needs, and a dedication of a lifelong learning. I'm absolutely thrilled to have Mr. Jeans Thomas join us today. He's an incredible resource for the aspiring leaders, educators, and anyone who is passionate about the future of education. So with further ado, let's give him a warm welcome. Sir, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Yeah. So you might be, we have a list of, intriguing questions, which obviously our community members have drafted for you. So let's begin with that. Perfect. So the first question is basically covering on the educational leadership that you have sort of gained throughout your, career. So the first question is, as the Dean of Chempaka Group of Institutions, what leadership principles do you find most crucial in creating a thriving learning environment?
See, you have framed that question so well. You brought in the phrase, a thriving and learning environment, which I think is absolutely necessary in any school environment. A school environment has to be a thriving learning environment. Now, by nature, I believe children are curious. Any of us, like we are all born curious. We, like we want to learn, we want to explore, we want to understand the surrounding, and you don't need to go to any school for that. By nature, you are curious. Now, what happens when a child is put into a school? Since you have asked me this question as a leader of Chempaka school, Lekol Chempaka, it's a different school of thought, I would say. We have 14 distinct principles, which we call the Chempaka way of learning. Of course, if I am to elaborate on all the 14, it will take a lot of time. So let me just tell you one of it, the first principle. The first principle of the Chempaka way says, where children are allowed to be children, learning happens naturally. You see, we have a tendency to look at children as miniature adults. In society, we look at children as small adults, miniature adults. They are not. No, they are not
Right.
small versions of adults. They are
Correct.
different. They don't think like you do. You simply feel like, okay, why is my daughter, my son not thinking the way I think? They cannot.
Exactly.
They are different. Okay? So,
Right.
like a child who is born with about 90 billion neurons, is capable of almost, learning so much.
Correct.
Many studies say that by the time a child turns 14, 15, 60% of these neurons die off because they don't get to make new connections in the brain. A neural connection means new learnings. They don't make new learnings, so they die off. Now, in this context, what we at Chempaka do is, first thing, we recognize children as children, which means they will learn. You don't have to force it on them. You don't have to beat them to learn. You don't have to kind of, stress it too much. You give them that environment, the one you said in your question, the thriving learning environment you provide them. Now, your question also speaks about leadership principles. Now, if any school principal, any school leader is watching us, I would say, of some of the leadership principles that I can think of that are absolutely necessary for any school leader. One, a clear understanding of the vision and the mission of your organization.
Perfect.
See, when I join a school as a school leader, why am I there? What do I want to achieve?
The purpose.
No? So, what is the vision? Yes, the purpose. What is the purpose of me being there? What is the vision of this organization? If you think of Lekon Chempaka, like it's very simple. Our vision and mission are very much aligned to everything that we do. We want to create active global citizens who are very culturally aware. No? So everything that we do will have something to do with our vision. No? Everything our teachers do will have something to do with our vision and our mission. They're all very sure of what we want to achieve. Yeah. Now, so for any leader, a very clear understanding of the vision and the mission is extremely important. Now, it is, like you look at the websites of any school, it will be there on the website. You look at, like their diaries and calendar, it will be on paper. Is it
Correct.
being practiced? So we as leaders, we need to think about it. Another
Right.
principle I would say is if I'm exceeding the time, you please stop me. Okay, I would just simply like to
No,
go
no,
on.
it's totally, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So getting knowledge from you is obviously, and stopping you, I would be committing a crime. Please continue, sir.
so I would say the second most important principle in general is communication, effective communication. Again, an absolutely non-negotiable trait of a good school leader is effective communication, which starts with effective listening. I can reiterate that. I can say that again. It does not start with effective speaking. No? Your communication as a leader is understanding the people you work with. It's not
Correct.
about you transferring your knowledge. It's not about you transferring a lot of what you have in your brain into the brains of other people. It is about you
Right.
understanding where your community is. For that, communication starts with listening. So, when I started my leadership journey as a school principal some years ago, my first work was to initially, of course, just like any avid leader, I wanted to achieve so much and then started trying to communicate so much. But then I started achieving more when I stopped speaking and then started listening. So effective communication starts with effective listening. You know where your team is, where your people are when you start listening. And another one I would say as a leader, another principle is to empower your team.
Hmm.
Like it is what is the responsibility of a school leader? The
Correct.
responsibility of a school leader is to empower, is to improve the people you work with, whether students or teachers or supporting staff. Now, I imagine a scenario. I go join a new institution. Now, like I came and joined like Old Chempaka. Likewise, you come join an institution. It is not that there is nothing happening there. No, maybe you look at an institution like Chempaka, which has been a very successful model of schooling for the last 4 decades. So I am
Hmm.
not coming to a ground zero, like there is already so much happening there. So my
Right.
work as a leader is to see how I can improve what is happening. Every
Correct.
leader's responsibility is to
Right.
improve the situation, is to improve the people you work with, is to improve the students, the learning atmosphere that you are given. No? So that is how you empower people by helping them improve, by improving yourself and helping other people improve themselves. I would say, like specifically, if you ask me at Chembaga, one thing that we're very passionate about is a student-centered approach. Anything that we do, how is it
Great.
going to how is it going to benefit the student community? Now, that is the question.
Great.
You want to
Right.
conduct an annual day. You want to conduct an intercultural learning program. You want to conduct a project-based learning. But okay, wait. First, ask the question, how is it going to benefit the students? If it is not going to benefit the students, we don't do it. Okay.
That's great. That's very amazing. That's very amazing. That's very
That's an
amazing.
essential question, isn't it? That's a
Yeah,
very
obviously,
important
obviously.
question. Because
That's the most existential question that every institution should be asking to themselves, because even since we are also running the ELC community, so basically that's the problem at crux that many educators sort of find in a dilemma on, like how to do then how to impact. And so you have beautifully also answered the second question which I was about to ask you about, how do we empower the kids, parents, and teachers alike. So you have covered that beautifully. Yes, you are going on, please.
okay, yeah, it depends, like if you give me more time, I will go on. I mean,
Yeah, so that's amazing. That's obviously amazing,
uh,
and I'm totally
yeah.
confident that who the users and also our community members who are listening to you, it is obviously adding some value to the time that they are investing and listening, right? Yeah. So, and I would like to step on to the next interesting question, because when I was introducing you, so you are a very personality, because in this of content, you have maintained a very delicate balance of producing content, giving back to the community. You have published a book called as You Are Becoming. So my question is basically like, which is a very common question that everybody will ask, like what inspired you to write this book specifically as for aspiring teams, right? And what is the message do you hope to convey? You are becoming. And also one more question, like why did you use the word you are becoming rather than you are being? So because that's very intriguing to question. Yes, sir, please.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for that. See, one thing, okay, I have written a book, but I'm not a writer, or I'm not like a very intellectual person. I'm just a very humble, very normal, happen to be fortunate to be a school leader, that's all. But, if you have heard of this book, Alice in Wonderland, in that book,
Hmm.
what happens, Alice falls into a pit, right? Alice falls into a pit and then lands in a wonderland. So
Correct.
she falls into the pit and then she meets a rabbit. She meets a
Right.
rabbit and then she asks the rabbit, which way should I take? Because she sees so many alleys, like she sees so many ways in front of her. So she doesn't know which way to take. So she asks the rabbit, which way should I take? And the
Correct.
rabbit asks her, where do you want to go? And she
Yes.
says, it does not matter. Not like, I have no specific place to go, but which way
Correct.
should I take? And the rabbit tells her, no, like if you're not really very particular about where you want to go, it doesn't matter which way you take.
Correct. Absolutely.
You take
Very
any
deep.
way,
Very
it does
deep.
not.
Yeah.
So that is why I wrote that book, You Are Becoming. See, there are some aspects to that question of becoming. One thing, like you are not going to be anything one fine day. Like you take anything for that matter, like you look at our teenagers, or look at anyone for that matter, whether medical practitioners or engineers or whatever. Nobody is going to become anything one fine day. This is a process, you know.
Correct.
So you're not going to be stagnant, in that process and then achieving it. You have to keep moving forward. It's a process of becoming. You know? So
Correct.
every day, either you take a step forward or you move backward in that like, okay, today I'm not going to do anything. This week I'm not going to do anything, but I want to be
Mhm.
that. It doesn't happen. Okay.
It doesn't
So
happen.
I wanted the young people to realize that it is a process. You're shaping your life, you're shaping your future. No? And that is an everyday process, and another aspect of this is, like when sometimes if we see people asking very young children questions like, what do you want to become? You're asking a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old child a question like, what do you want to become, is a crime. This is what I believe,
Correct.
because
Correct.
you think of it, a 6 or 7-year-old child may have heard of 3, 4, 6 professions in total in their lives. They may have seen, see, think of a 10-year-old. They may have seen drivers, may have heard of pilots, may have heard of some doctors or some teachers.
Correct.
How many professions do they know? And you're asking somebody who only knows about 5 professions, what do you want to become? What can the child say? One of this.
Correct.
which is in a way shutting down all other possibilities for the child, isn't it?
mm, mm, mm.
So I believe as a community, what we need to do is we shouldn't ask that question to children. Instead, open doors for them. Now, people say like by 2030, that means just 6 years from now, yeah, some 35 to 40% of the jobs that we are doing right now becomes obsolete.
Exactly.
So just imagine, we can't fathom, what is
Mm.
to be expected, in the near future.
Future,
So
correct.
about 1/3 of the world's population are like children. Okay. So what are we doing with them? How are we preparing them? It's a very important question. So I had all these questions in my mind, and then I thought, okay, let me, in my small ways, try to answer that question. And so my
Mm, mm.
answer to that question is, "You are becoming." That's a book I wrote.
Very beautifully, sir. Very beautiful book, and very beautifully you have expressed your thoughts. You're actually very, very correct because the and this question has been pondered upon in terms of philosophical way, in terms of scientific way. Many institutions and many verticals in their own aspect, they have, a question. These are the very fundamental questions of existence, right? Why are we here, and what are we going to do? So, like, as you very beautifully expressed, like asking a question to a kid who is just 6 to 5 years old with a very less data, what are you going to become? That's like implanting a seed and cutting off whatever new possibilities his mind can process. Very beautifully expressed, sir. Great. So I would, sir, yes, I would hop on to the next interesting part of your professional journey. That is, you also have your YouTube channel, which is called as Education for Life and Life for Education. This is for our viewers who are just watching us. So Thomas sir has a very intriguing channel, and he is, this is a very good way he has found to give back to the community, to give back to the society. Okay, so sir, I would, regarding that YouTube channel, I would like to ask you one question. So you cover diverse educational topics, and you have immense knowledge in leadership, innovation, ideas in how, the landscape of education should evolve. So what are some emerging trends or issues you find particularly relevant today in the given vast experience you have gone through, and you have also seen the crust and troughs of the educational economics also. Yes, sir.
Okay. See, again, I don't think there is one solid answer for that question. I mean, but one thing that we cannot do without in days to come is technology. In India, I think, like, okay, majority of us have already embraced technology, but there are still people who feel like technology is an enemy of learning. There are people, especially,
Yeah.
like people in the academic fraternity, like even teachers who feel like never give a mobile phone to a child, like,
Mm, mm,
see,
mm. Yeah, yeah.
I feel, again, there can be, differences of opinion, and I accept everyone's views. I don't mean to say that like children should always be on the mobile phones or on the laptops, but I feel we should try and teach our young generations to use digital devices as tools, not
Mm,
letting these devices master them.
mm,
So
mm, mm.
not letting children, get addicted to digital devices. Because now
Right.
we have scientific data, we have evidence to believe, to understand why children get addicted to digital devices. So let's say, for example, the amount of dopamine that is being released in a child's brain is much more when they are using a mobile phone, and so they naturally get addicted to it because that is a pleasure hormone. That is what people say.
Correct.
But okay, that being said, can we say no to technology? No, this is the thing. So maybe blended use of technology, online, offline. See, some of the concepts that we were forced in our childhood, we were forced to sit just like that and then listen to a teacher to understand, can easily be understood by watching a video. What is wrong in that? Huh?
Exactly. Exactly.
So I think in the coming of artificial intelligence into it, the gamification of learning content, these are all going to definitely revolutionize the educational landscape in our country, in the world all over. And so we need to prepare ourselves. COVID has done a good thing.
Good job. Good job.
Yeah, teachers will never touched on a mobile phone, a smartphone before started using, Zoom and Google Meet, and that is the, I mean, like, of course, one good thing that happened during that pandemic era. Um, so, what I feel is like this is time the teaching community should not say no to time and energy sensitizing children and teaching children as to how to use it. Now, another thing I would say is the time when the focus alone is over. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir. Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So I feel, even as NEP says, we should focus on all-round development of the children.
Correct.
Intellectual growth or academic learning is only one part of it. Social aspect is there, emotional aspect is there, physical aspect is there. So you need to have well-rounded individuals in the society for which education has to be 360 degrees focused on an individual as a whole, not just one aspect of a person's brain development or intellectual growth alone.
Right. Wonderful, sir. Wonderful. Great. Perfect. So it was nice. It was nice hearing, sir. Thank you so much for shedding some light on the whole concept of how. And yes, you're absolutely correct. Technology should be embraced because, as you mentioned, technology have always accelerated many things. It comes to other departments. It comes to many other things. It has accelerated very in a positive impact. The positive sides and the upsides of technology is huge as compared to the downsides. And yes, obviously, COVID revolutionized the way we interact as how we interact technology. So, and obviously, the educational space was, you can say the education sector was, you can say, the sweetest child to receive with the good part of our technology integration of online education. I've also seen there was a teacher in Bengal. She created a very beautiful jugaad of using hanger, and she created a tripod because she was not able to buy the tripod system. So she created a very good desi jugaad. So she created a tripod, hanged it out, and she posted her mobile phone, and she was teaching the kids in the active COVID cycle. So that's amazing how education has been positively affected by the COVID. And thank you so much, sir, for shedding some light and giving beautiful insights on how all of us can do a great job by contributing and by just letting the kids be themselves, because that is the important, you can say, the receiving point also for kids, that why they are telling me to do this, let me be myself. And your vision is truly reflecting with the word you are becoming, and beautifully expressed, sir. It was nice to have an interaction with you, and I'm glad you gave us the opportunity to share your knowledge. And
Okay.
I'm also hopeful that our community members also benefited with your experiences. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much. Very kind of you. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day, sir. Bye bye.